So here we have a micro USB cable slash data cable from JuicEBitz. Apparently this can handle up to 3 amps. So today we will be putting that to the test. But firstly, let's have a look how you receive it. It comes in a plastic heat sealed bag like so, with following sticker: AWG micro 1 meter. I believe this is the smallest length they do. Me personally would like a smaller length, but there we go. So let's open the bag and see what we have. Appearance wise, it looks pretty good. We have some little cable ties with their logo on. Cable feels good. Injection molded by the looks of it, and obviously sealed with the pressure as well. Seams look good. Another little logo at the end there. I apologise for my camera. There we go. Black inside. Now apparently these are gold plated pins inside on both sides, so we shall check that out. As we can see, they are indeed gold plated. Well, is it gold? Fortunately I can't test that, but they are the colour of gold. So, let's check the other end. This one's going to be a little bit more tricky, but I can sort of see, although you probably can't see it on the camera, I can actually see the colour gold. So, okay, so the time's come to test this cable. Now the equipment I'm going to use is, this is 5 volts at 5 amps power supply. This little device is something that I designed. Basically you put 5 volts in. There's a special chip there that basically senses what type of phone you've plugged in, sends the relevant data, well, voltages through the minuses and positive data pins of the USB cable, and basically lets the phone charge at full charging rate. The phone I'll be using to test this is a Microsoft Lumia 650, which charges at about an amp. So I'm going to try that first, just to see if, well, the cable does what it's supposed to do. Okay, so first things first, give this power, you can see it flashing, then plug the cable in. In fact, I'll just plug this in as well. This is just going to tell us okay, now I'm actually using the phone to record this, so I'm just going to plug it in now. And we're getting about, there you go, 90, 96, just nearly an amp. My phone is half charged, so the fully charged it gets, the less amps it pulls. So what we're going to do is we're now going to test how much amperage this cable can withstand. Now most micro USBs will never pull any more than 3 amps. So we're going to pull around about 3 amps through this cable. Now I don't have a device capable of pulling that many amps, So we are going to use resistors, which are quite simply two 10 ohm resistors on a USB, double them up, that's around about 4ish amps. So this is the setup I have. So I'm going to start with this part. This is a USB 3.0 hub. We've got my resistors in line there, they're not plugged in at the minute. These resistors go into this, which then goes in to the USB cable, into the JuicEBitz USB cable, round, into my meter power supply. So I'm going to plug in one. I'm now getting about an amp. Plug in number two. I'm getting 2 amps. Well, 1 amp 24. Now, when I click these, this should reach to another one. Here we go. We're now getting near enough 2 amp draw from this USB cable. Cable feels nice and cold, not getting warm. All seems good. So I'll leave this running for a bit and come back to it. So yeah, the cable seems to be passing the test. What is actually quite funny is we're just hitting near enough 2 amps at the minute, and this USB 2.0 port is getting a bit warm. In fact, there is a little bit of smoke coming off that. We are going over USB 2 specifications. I don't know if you can see the smoke there. You've got some nice bit of smoke coming from there. But the cable itself, nice and cold, all fine, pulling 2 amps, not a problem whatsoever. So this quite clearly shows something here, that before you max out this cable, you'll max out these USB 2 ports. You'll see on this, I actually designed this with a USB 3 port, which can handle a couple of amps, so that's why this isn't smoking. But this one, yeah, it is starting to smoke quite a bit now. Don't know if you can see the smoke there. Probably not picking it up too well on the camera. But yeah, so I mean, that tells you, before you max out this cable, you'd max out your port on your charger. I mean, it is pulling 2 amps just fine. So most devices, you're only going to pull about 2 amps. This cable's nice and cold. Those resistors won't be there, they'll be nice and hot. So I mean, that's about it really. I mean, cable does what it says. Final thoughts, what do I think about the cable? Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it is just a USB charge cable. Is it better than the cheap stuff that you can get? Well, definitely. I mean, it pulls the required amps. It says it does. It does say USB 2.0 on the cable. As you saw, my USB 2.0 port was smoking at around about 2 amps. So this cable says it can do 3 amps. Well, in a USB 2 port, you'll start smoking at 2 amps. So really about 1.5 amps. Most phones only charge at about 1.5 amps maximum anyway, until you're talking the tablets, and in which case they'll probably be using USB 3.0 ports because they can take a bit more current. So I don't doubt that this cable can take 3 amps easy. It took 2 amps, not getting hot or anything. So, I mean, overall the build quality seems pretty good. It is definitely injection molded by the looks of it with heat. The seams seem nice. I like the little logo there. I don't know if you can quite see it. That's quite nice. One thing, if I would change about this, is it would be nice to get some sort of injection molding coming up to here. You know, on a like a triangle point coming up to there, with maybe some little slits in it, so you can bend, but not so much. I think a cable like that would be better, but there's a lot of force round here, so I can't see this breaking too easily or pulling out. As for this end, there's definitely quality on this end, and this is the most important end because this is plugging into your phone. Phones are not cheap now. You're talking a couple of £100 for a phone, so you're going to want a decent cable to plug into that phone. It just doesn't make sense to use an inferior, cheap China cable, plug it into your £300 smartphone. It just does not make sense. With this, you know, you're plugging it in, you feel confident. This is a lot better fitting than the original cable I got for my phone from Microsoft. This connector is a lot better quality than what you would normally get. That goes without saying, definitely. This is definitely not moving in there. This is solid. So all in all, this is actually for around about £3-4 I paid for this cable. It's worth its money. You know, it's definitely worth getting if you're serious about you charging your tablets, your iPhones, and not your iPhones, your smartphones and so on. Definitely a cable to consider. So that is about it. I mean, they also sell some other cables as well, audio, HDMI. They might be interesting to get hold of and have a little look. Cables there, 28AWG. Now, I could cut this cable in half and see if it is 28, but do you know what? I don't really want to cut this. It's my only cable, but it's passed the test. It's not got out, so there's not really any need to do that. 80C at 30 volts. I mean, you're never going to go out for that on this cable. It's only a micro USB cable. It's only ever going to be used with 5 volts, maximum at 3 amps, so perfectly fine. So yeah, you know, it looks like a decent cable. I won't mind getting my hands on that car charger. It's 4.5 amps, 3 ports. That would be interesting to see what kind of port, if those ports can handle that. Because like we saw on a USB 2 port, it started smoking, so it'd be interesting to see. And they also do some portable power banks as well, but all in all, these pretty decent cables. One thing I would like is obviously, like I mentioned, it would be nice to see a cable that has an injection molding going up to a point there, just to give this more support. I mean, obviously this has been tested, so this is fine. I think it would look nice to go up there to a triangle with little slits in so it can give a little bit of movement. I think that would look nice. Probably the same on the other end as well. Would be a pretty smart cable to have. And also they do these in a range of sizes. This is the smallest size I believe they do, which is 1 meter. I would actually like to see a smaller cable than that. Why would I want a smaller cable? Well, some people have like a 10 port USB charger that just charges all your devices in one. Now, the smaller these cables, the less voltage drop you get. Although I didn't get hardly any more voltage drop with this that you wouldn't normally get anyway. Thicker cable, you know, you get a much more better connection. But But yeah, I would like to see half the size of this cable, with obviously the ends like I said, you know, and I think they'd definitely be onto a winner there. But as for this cable, yes, it's definitely a lot better than what you would normally buy, that's for sure. So yeah, there we go. That's about it really. There's nothing else I can really do.